so we're always, Mace, I think we were talking about F-16 deliveries last time you were on the show, and
It's like
the
all
Viper.
the time. Yep.
Yeah, it's like every week there's new things, which is cool because people were complaining about enough. But so this is kind of a two-part thing. One, it's okay. They're going to send, I think it was 32 aircraft to the Ukraine. So that's what they're talking about. And we've got an article later about Ukraine says, well, it's too late now. But for now, they're talking about having a two-speed Air Force, which that might be lost in translation. But Agenda 2030 says that for all the rest of the planes, you have to get the F-16s to Viper level, which Mace, you and I were talking about this. We call it the Viper, right? Yeah. But everybody else says that the F-16V Block 70 standard is the Viper. So anytime we make this comment, people are like, well, it's not the Viper. It's the Viper. Don't worry. So they're going to have... strengthen the Rafale fleet, have 24 would be good, and then they're going to get F-35s, which are under the Block 4, under development Block 4 configuration. They were going to basically, God, right now they have an F-4, a Mirage 2000-5, the F-16 Block 30, personal favorite, Block 50, Block 52, Viper, which is the Block 70 standard, and then the Rafale, and they're modernizing, all these aircraft, and then 6 additional Rafales, and then the Block 4s. But the biggest thing was they were going to take some of these jets. They were talking about transferring them. I think it was 32 to, look at that. It's a good looking airplane. The Mirage there. But they were talking about transferring, I think it was 32 of them to Ukraine, which would obviously up the numbers as well and increase the total footprint that Ukraine has in the F-16, which these F-16s are even better than some of the older Danish jets and stuff. These are closer to actual block. They're actual Block 50, Block 52. Mace, you flew the conformal fuel tanks, right? How does that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is that compared to a regular Viper?
The extra gas is obviously nice. It's somewhere in between, like you would imagine. It doesn't feel like a clean Viper, but it doesn't feel like you have a bag hanging on the jet either. But it's for sure noticeable. In the brake turn, it was BFM because I was putting those guys through the FLUG, the flight lead upgrade, and anytime you did a brake turn, it was very noticeable.
Would you fly conformal plus tanks, like a centerline bag, or was it just, we have the conformals, like how much, what does that give you? Like 70 something, 8,000 pounds?
8, I think it's 8.
Okay, so it gives you like 800 pounds. It's not
much. It says in here somewhere. I just saw it because it's been a minute since I did it.
Yeah.
We just had the conformal tanks for BFM. I pretty sure they loaded up wing tanks, depending on what the mission set was.
Okay.
Trying to find
correcting what I just said, just to, or clarifying, because it wasn't in that article, even though it said it was going to be in that article. It's 32, up to 32 F-16s that they're going to give to the Greek, to the Greeks are going to give to the Ukrainian Air Force. And France is going to approve as well 24 Mirage 2000-5s to Ukraine is what they were talking about doing. So that would be the French approval for that side. So that's a considerable increase in fighter capability if they did that. But so did the ones, were they the quote unquote Viper standard? Did it have like a ESA radar and all that stuff, or was it just the conformal fuel tanks that was different?
It was really the tanks. They have the drogue chute as well out the back for landing, which was weird. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. Otherwise everything else was mostly the same from my memory.
Did they talk about landing on, like, because we've talked about that before, about unimproved surfaces, roads and stuff like that? I mean, is that kind of part of their game plan as well? And does the chute help? Is that, or just for shorter runways?
I had asked about the chute and there wasn't any discussion about that. I feel like FOD would be such an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a Hoover.
Yeah. Like we fought it out engines at Hickam when we were TDY there with this pad. So
Yeah.
like I can't imagine landing on something unimproved with the vacuum cleaner attached to the front.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've talked about that before. I mean, you remember ice FOD, ice FOD procedures, especially in Europe, if it gets cold and now you've got moisture in the air, creates ice, breaks up, gets in the intake. When I was at Balad, you guys probably did this too. Even though it was a U.S. field, it was still swept like every now and then. So we'd taxi around at night with the NVGs on so you could see the little glimmer of the rocks and avoid them so as not to suck up a rock in the intake. So it's definitely a consideration.
Is the intake heated on the F-16? Is it
inlet, not the intake, the inlet at the front, at the cone is heated.
So like the Hornet.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Am I getting Hornet and Viper confused, Mace?
No, you turn for anti-icing.
Yeah. Is it just like the cone?
It's just the front. Okay. It's not the whole thing. It's just
right.
the front of the
front edge.
Yeah. So you could have ice build up on the inlet, and that's the dangerous part, right? It breaks and goes into the. Okay.
Doug says it's 3,000 pounds, which sounds like a lot. So that.
I mean, they're big. They run down the whole side.
Yeah, that's.
Are they kind of like the Strike Eagle? They can pop them on and off, or is it kind of a?
They did have sometimes they would be on, sometimes they would be off, but I gathered that it was quite the endeavor for maintenance to take them on and off. So it wasn't like something they did on a whim.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, it's cool. I mean, obviously getting everything. I mean, so from the Greek perspective, that's really kind of a good thing, having fewer aircraft types, being able to upgrade what you have, going to the F-35, I mean, it's really what you want, especially, if you're in a time of budgetary concerns, it's always best to have, a couple different types versus F4s. Geez.
Dude, I love the Phantom.
Come on. The fuel mileage on that thing's not so good.